Welcome to the Rocky and Meisty Show presented by Jew Stool. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Let's get right into it.
That's what I think.
That is a hot take.
Tell you what, Morty, I'm picking the Lions to upset here, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, Rocky.
Ridiculous answer. If the Ravens had J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Marcus Peters, L.J. Fort, they'd be the best team.
No, I'm completely missing the boat on it. You're at the wrong dock. Meisty, what do you think about this game? The Bengals got a shot?
I have here written down in my pamphlet, I have Bengals 35, Chiefs 30. I'm sorry to say it. If Bengals are going to the Super Bowl, they're the hottest team in football right now.
They playoffs with Jared Goff already. They made the Super Bowl with Jared Goff already. They didn't need Matthew Stafford to make the playoffs. They had that taken care of already. They got Matthew Stafford so that they can win these big games.
The most insane, crazy thing that we have never, ever seen before. Granted, they had 2 timeouts, but
I'm curious.
We want to talk about legacy-defining plays and legacy-defining throws. 13 seconds, and you get the ball in field goal range. That is absolutely insane.
Okay, and guess what? In basketball, you use a basketball. In football, you use a football.
If you're a fan of an NFL team, then you probably watch the games every week, and you see these couple guys on your team that it's like, how come nobody knows that this guy's good? He's not getting any respect. He's not getting the respect he deserves for sure. He's going under the radar. So we're going to bring light to those guys a little here on the Rocky and Meisty Show. We're going to go through each division and go through each team and discuss who we think is the most underrated player from each team. Now, it could be you'll be screaming at your screen or at your phone, whatever, and you'll be like, that guy's not underrated. Everyone knows he's good. Well, maybe nationally the guy doesn't get as much respect as he does locally, obviously. So that's more the angle we're going to have on it. From a national perspective, does this guy have the respect, or is he earning the respect that he deserves? Of course, remember to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Just taking care of some housekeeping before we get started. All right, Meisty, here we go. So the NFL offseason is here now. I put a poll on Twitter, and it was, listen, which one do you want us to talk about? NBA season, NHL season, or straight up NFL offseason, or other stuff? MLB's going underway, March Madness coming soon. Like, which one? And people seem to like NFL offseason the best. Just people can never get enough of football. It's also a fresh week off of the Super Bowl, right? We're still hot off the press, so people are still going to be hungry for football. So let's go. We're going to be talking about football the entire offseason, obviously. Let's start with right off the bat, AFC East, because if you go generally, that's the first division you'll see. Starting with the Buffalo Bills. So the Buffalo Bills are an interesting team because they have a great roster and a team that underwhelmed throughout the first 13 games of the season, started the season 7-6, Meisty. And we're thinking to ourselves, what the heck is going on? We're talking about one of the best rosters in football, but came together. The defense really came together. And I think a big part of that defense was the secondary. And a player Micah Hyde is well known. Everyone knows about him. But the man that played next to him, Jordan Poyer, is the guy that impressed me the most on the Buffalo Bills. Because oftentimes when you are lining up next to a top-notch safety like Micah Hyde, you don't get the respect you deserve. But we're talking about a man that only allowed 1 touchdown this season and 5 interceptions, career high for him, was targeted 40 times and only allowed a completion percentage of 55% and only 6.1 yards per target. The last 2 years, he's been 6.1 yards per target or under, allowing only 6.1 yards per target or under. And the 1 touchdown number is very impressive, and he does not allow a lot of big plays. And as a safety, I think your main job, and I'm going to get some safety love this episode, just warning you, because as a safety, your main job is to prevent the big play, right? You're sitting back there, you're a center fielder, and your job is to prevent the big play. We saw it so many times with Ed Reed, right? What did he do? He scanned the field, he prevented the big play, and Ed Reed was a great coverage safety. People think Ed Reed was this guy that, he just got a lot of interceptions. He did. He was a ball hawk. He was explosive with the ball after he caught it, but he didn't allow many big plays. He shut down the middle of the field. And that's why I like Jordan Poyer as my safety over here, my underrated player on the Bills.
All right, I hear that. Definitely can't argue with that, but I'm gonna go with Dawson Knox. I think that, he since 2019 he's been growing as a player. That he's a huge part of the Bills' offense in their success. I think that they struggle more without him. I don't think that they're Thomas Sweeney's the backup, so I don't think that they really have any other choice when it comes to the tight end position. So I'm gonna go with Dawson Knox. I think that he's going to continue to grow, and I think that there's a lot. I think that, and he's underappreciated a lot because you have Diggs and you have You have Emmanuel Sanders, and you have why can't I think of his other name?
Gabe Davis, baby.
Cole Beasley, yeah.
Cole Beasley, yeah.
So there's definitely other people on the team that oversee him. So I'm going to go with Dawson Knox.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up. I actually would have probably proposed Gabe Davis before he broke out in the divisional round. Right now, everyone knows about him, so he's not so underrated. But he did have a great year. That went under the radar. But now that we move on to the Dolphins, we'll stick with the receiver position for you, Meisty. Devontae Parker. I love this guy. You know, I was a big fan. I picked him up late in the year in fantasy. And a big reason why he's gone under the radar is because he didn't play for a good part of the season, right? He missed, played 10 games, only started in 8. And what was another reason that he went under the radar? Jalen Waddle, the emergence of Jalen Waddle. And he took a lot of targets away from Devontae Parker. People forget this man had over 1,200 yards receiving in 2019. He was targeted 128 times. This year targeted only 73. Like I said, 2 factors in that. Number 1, Jalen Waddle, emergence. Number 2, not playing as much. It comes down to very simply just not playing as much. But when this man's on the field, you know, we're talking about a man that, again, looking at 2019 numbers, because that was when he was fully healthy and played a full season. 3.7 yards after contact per reception, 13 yards before contact, which means he's beating guys down the field. I think this Miami receiving game, this Miami receiving core is going to be dangerous for years to come. If they can add one more piece there, you re-sign Gesicki, maybe add a number 3 receiver. Devontae Parker as a number 2 receiver with Jalen Waddle taking away the number 1 corner, taking away the attention from him. He's going to get open down the field, and he's going to create some big plays for Tua. And I love Devontae Parker as a receiver. I just think the injuries and Jalen Waddle emergence has really hit him as a playmaker in that offense. Who do you got for the Dolphins? You got anyone?
I'm trying to think if I'm looking at through, but I'm going to have to go with Myles Gaskin. Just piggybacking off what you just said, the same thing happens, right? But there's the best passing game is opened by a running game, right? If he can come out of the backfield to catch the ball, it's going to come out to be huge when you have 2 really big name receivers on both sides. I believe the Dolphins are set offensively, and their defense has proven. I think with the right coaching, I think the Dolphins are set can win their division honestly this next year. They could definitely be a contender for the division.
The offensive line needs to get better, that's for sure. But yeah, to protect Tua, and you know the questions at quarterback, obviously. But you're right, they have a great roster. You know, the Dolphins are a tricky team because they sort of have a lot of big impact plays, big contributions to their wins, and an easy schedule. But you're certainly correct there. They're set up. They have some good playmakers on offense. Now let's move on to a team that does not have some playmakers on offense. That's the New York Jets. And they're just not a good team, right? I mean, you look around the roster and you're like, every good player on the Jets is going to be underrated because of the fact that they're not a good team. They don't get as much recognition, so we don't really know who the good players on the Jets are. Right? You just know Zach Wilson. You just know Mike White. You just know the quarterback and Elijah Moore maybe because he's a playmaker. But other than that, you don't really know too many guys, especially on the defensive side. They have a really bad defense. But they can take comfort in knowing that a man, John Franklin Myers, who's defensive end, has been a big piece for them. He's rushed the passer very well. He's been a great run stuffer for them. Actually, people don't realize this. The Jets, defensively, 2 years ago, were the worst rushing defense in the league. But they have gotten better. They have gotten a little better. And certainly they look to improve upon that with John Franklin Myers. They need a lot of pieces, the Jets. This is like, even if they have a good defensive end, the man that can rush the passer and stop the run, they're going to need a lot more. They need to find their situation at quarterback. They need a couple pieces in the secondary. I mean, this is starting over, right? We're talking about one of the worst rosters in football. But they have a couple good pieces up there up front, and John Franklin Myers is one of those. I know, Mike, this is a tough one, but if you got anyone of the Jets, more than welcome to throw them out there.
I'm literally scrolling. I mean, Michael Carter is the man, and that's the bottom line. I think that he can be really special. I don't know if he'll be special while he's on the Jets because who is special on the Jets, but I think that Michael Carter is the answer to this question. This is a tough one. This one is tough, but I'll say Michael Carter is the most underrated player on the Jets. He's just a quiet dude. I think he's gonna have good seasons, but like he's not gonna get anywhere with it because.
Yeah, like you're right. Like I said, everyone on the Jets is underrated. Michael Carter is one of the playmakers on that team, but obviously
people aren't going to know that because he plays for the Jets. And that's a result of playing for the New York Football Jets. Let's go to a team that a lot of people know about, obviously, the New England Patriots. We'll wrap it up with this. I'm sticking with safety. I'm giving some safety love. I'm looking at Adrian Phillips. The New England Patriots were the third best team in terms of receiving yards this year, receiving yards allowed this year. And a big part was the secondary, right? They gave up the second to fewest yards, 20 plus yards down the field. They gave up the second to fewest plays of 40 plus yards down the field. So they didn't give up a lot of big plays. And what did I tell you earlier, Maesty? It's about the safeties, not giving up the big plays. And Adrian Phillips was a big part of it. Gave up the 4 touchdowns, of course, but, he was sort of a boomer bust type of guy, right? Either he gave up that touchdown or he just completely shut down the opposing receiver. Gave great safety help on the back end. J.C. Jackson's a guy everyone knows about in that secondary. Adrian Phillips is a popular name in New England, but outside of the Patriots circles, people don't know about him as well. So I like Adrian Phillips as my most underrated player on the Patriots. How about you?
Now I got to come up with a new one. Patriots. Adrian Phillips is my guy, but
no, he was yours. I stole yours.
Right from me. Quickly looking through it here. I mean, I think that once again, I think we're gonna have to go with. I think a guy like Kendrick Bourne. I think these are the guys that just if their offense is going to want to succeed, they're going to have to go through guys. I mean, unless they go out and get other receivers in the offseason. I mean, the offseason has started. I mean, if you want the honest truth, I think the Patriots don't even make the playoffs this year. Clip that. Let it. Patriots don't even make the playoffs this year. I don't want to hear it.
Exposed.
Could be, but I really think the Patriots aren't going to the playoffs, and I think that Kendrick Bourne is going to play a big part if they will go to the playoffs.
Can I just say our AFC East predictions preseason prior to 2021, we all had the Patriots getting about 10 wins, right? With 9 wins. The over-under was 9, and we said that's a perfect number for them. 9. I think they got 10, right? And you're now going to go under. Well, I think that's really very much contingent on the growth of Mac Jones, his development, obviously, and if the Patriots let him loose a little more. I think the crazy thing is I think the Patriots actually sort of like restricted Mac Jones in a lot of ways. So that's sort of what the Vikings do with Kirk Cousins sometimes. They don't let him throw the ball down the field. But you give Mac Jones a playmaker that can beat a guy one-on-one down the field, and all of a sudden he can make some big throws, and they let that arm loose a little because he does have a pretty good arm. I know he's more short to intermediate range type of guy, but he has that big arm. They let him loose a little. I think the Patriots are actually be better than they were last year. And they're in great Belichick.
The 7th seed is the only spot really I can see. But talking about the top 6 seeds in the AFC, I don't see them being there. First of all, the AFC is stacked beyond stacked, right? If the Dolphins are a growing team, the Dolphins are going to be very good next year. So I think the Dolphins will outperform the Patriots, and that will push the Patriots out of the playoffs. That'll be the cause for it. It'll be craziest thing. I think Bill Belichick will retire. Like honestly. I think it's going to be the craziest thing.
That's it. Calling it quits with Brady and Belichick in 1 year.
Yeah,
1 year.
I think that the Dolphins are just going to change retirement.
That's an interesting take. I like that. Well, they do get to play the Jets twice a year, so that's always an advantage. It's always great when you get to play the Jets twice a year.
Yeah, ask the Bengals how that went.
All right, so that's it. That's we got through 4 teams, and next time we'll do the NFC East. The NFC East. These are quick hitters, of course. So we're just going to go through teams and I'll try to get every team involved. We know that people like to hear something about their team. Just give me something. And the NFL season is fresh off the boat. It just ended. The next one, we've got a while. But there's so much great stuff that happens in the offseason. There's free agency, there's the draft, and there's contracts. And there's so many different things that we can discuss. So we just want to start off going through every team quickly and saying this is what you have to look forward to because every team has some positive things about them. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And have a great evening.